Thank you, Judge. Before we call our first witness, I would like to announce two stipulations that are applicable at this point. First, the state and the defense agree and stipulate that Kenneth Velez was a sworn Ohio State Highway Patrol trooper in uniform, in a marked vehicle, and in the course of his duties of his employment at the time of his death.
Correct.
And two, that the dash camera footage from Trooper Kenneth Velez's cruiser is a fair and accurate depiction of the events that transpired on September 15, 2016. As a result, the dash camera footage is authentic and admissible.
We will require no witnesses to authenticate that evidence, Your Honor. We would agree.
Thank you. The state is going to call its first witness, Timothy K.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm, subject to the penalties of perjury, that the testimony you're about to give here will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. Also, the chair won't move, so you'll have to move up to the microphone.
Okay. This one?
You can move the microphone up.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Would you state and spell your name, please?
Trooper Timothy K, last name K-A-Y.
And where are you employed?
Ohio State Highway Patrol out of our Cleveland post.
And how long have you been with the patrol?
Approximately 6 years.
Okay. What are your duties?
Traffic enforcement, crash investigation, OVI detection, enforce criminal traffic laws.
Were you with the patrol as an employee during the events that bring us here last September 2016?
Yes, I was.
On the day in question, September 15th, were you off duty at the time you came upon this situation?
Yes, I was.
Give us the background for that. Tell us how you came upon this scene.
I was actually coming from a funeral in Lake County. My cousin had passed away, and my mom was driving with me at the time. So we were heading home. Where the crash occurred, we're westbound on Interstate 90. Traffic started back up. As we got closer to the crash scene, on the left side, I could see Kenny's patrol car. There was an ambulance, possibly two ambulances. Couldn't really see much. I saw on the on-ramp to Interstate 90 West, there was Lakewood Police Department. They started coming down the ramp. There was a couple on foot that crossed over the interstate. At that point, we're kind of at a standstill. Traffic was moving slowly. There was an opening in between where the ambulance was. So as I'm passing, I could see, didn't know who it was at the time, but saw pants that I wear, gray pants, black shoes facing me, and it looks like there was no movement in the legs. So I told my mom, I said, that's one of our guys. So I pulled over to the left shoulder, stopped, and then I ran up to where EMS was working on him.
From your recollection, well, first of all, when you got there, did you recognize who was
Yes, right before I had no clue. I was actually kind of hoping it was somebody I didn't know, even though it doesn't make it better. Just prior to running up, I saw we have external vests that are black. On the back it says Trooper. So where I stopped, defendant's vehicle was right there, but in front of that, his vest was it was on the ground. So where EMS was, it was quite a distance. So I ran up to him, and they were kind of blocking him, so I couldn't really see from a distance until I got really close up, and then I saw him, and I was like, Kenny, couldn't believe it.
Let me stop you for a second.
Yes,
You're referring to Officer Velez as Kenny.
correct. Yes.
How long had you known him?
Probably he was at our post beginning of that year, but he worked in our facility for I believe a couple years. So he was mostly day shift. I worked night shift. So until he actually transferred out of his specialty position, I'd see him every once in a while. But once he transferred at that beginning of the year, he would be the one that would come in early. And so when day shift came in, night shift came in, we would just talk about random stuff, and he'd always be there, one of the first ones there, joking around.
Ever socialized with him outside the work site?
No,
Never been to his home?
never, no,
He, in reverse, has he ever been to your home?
no.
So it's a work relationship.
Yes.
Returning to your observations, where you find Ken Velez at that moment, he's in front of what vehicle?
He is in front of his patrol car. I'm not sure the exact distance, but so he's been between his patrol car and the defendant's vehicle. And then there's squad, ambulance, and possibly a fire truck in that left lane blocking traffic.
So working from the cement wall, that's the middle median wall on the south side of 90 West, is Ken Velez to the left of the white line within the area of the berm, or has he landed in a lane of traffic?
I believe he is mostly on the shoulder, so it would be left of the edge line, out of the roadway. Possibly his feet might have been in the roadway, but majority of his body was off on the shoulder. And that section of Interstate 90, the shoulder widens, so more than any section, I would say probably in the county, of that section of the shoulder is considerably wider.
And just so we're clear here, how are you dressed that day?
I had a blue button-down shirt with a tie, dark-colored dress pants.
But not in uniform,
Correct.
not driving a highway patrol car.
No.
What do your eyes tell you about Ken's condition?
When I walked up to him, EMS was performing CPR on him, and they were pretty vigorously shaking his body. His right eye was open, and the way they were doing the compressions on him, his eye was kind of moving, so I was kind of giving hope that there might be something still left. And it kind of caught me off guard, because when I would see him, he would joke around, and he would kind of have a dry sense of humor every once in a while. So he'd be telling a joke, and then he'll look at you and wink his eye, like waiting for the punchline. So I was thinking there might be something left with him being there, but the rest of his body, the way his legs were and his feet were off to the side, it seemed like there wasn't really anything left at that point.
Okay. Do you announce yourself to anyone in terms of your employment?
No one that asked me anything, so I'm standing by him. I said, Kenny, I know one of the EMS personnel looked at me, and then continued working on him. I did see somebody else in his patrol car that had plainclothes also. So I went up to his patrol car because I didn't see anyone else from the highway patrol there. At that point, I introduced that I was an off-duty trooper, and he got out of the patrol car. He let me go on to use the radio. At that point, I called into our dispatch center, and I was expecting them to know something because it seemed like I was on scene for a really long time. But I don't know exactly the time frame. So I radioed in that his unit number is 511. I said 511 Cleveland, or my unit number is 1119. I said 1119 Cleveland, 511 is unconscious. Do we have anyone else en route here? And at that point, I believe more people were sent to that location.
If you know, did you see any visible damage to the patrol car?
I do not believe so.
After you requested radio assistance, what did you do next?
I walked up to where they were working on Kenny. I might have introduced myself to somebody else was there that was an off-duty trooper. There was another female witness there that was very emotional. The only thing I recall between that conversation that she was apologizing to me on what happened. I believe she was a nurse. I asked somebody near where they were working on Kenny, I was like, who was the driver of the other vehicle? And they pointed over to where the defendant was standing.
Where was he located at in this scene of stop traffic on the highway there?
Defendant?
Yes.
He was towards the left side of his vehicle by the concrete barrier. So quite a distance from where they were working on Kenny.
Did you approach him?
Yes, so I asked who was the driver of the vehicle. Somebody pointed the defendant out to me, and then I walked over to him. I didn't have any ID or badge on me or anything to indicate that was highway patrol. I went right up to him, asked him if he had his driver's license. He said, yeah. He opened up the driver door, reached in, grabbed his license, and handed it to me. Didn't say anything else. Kind of caught me off guard that, I didn't even identify myself, and he just handed me his license.
And do you see him in court here today?
Yes, he's to the left of me, white male, beard, green shirt, black suit top.
The record reflect the identification of defendant Gaspar, please, Your Honor.
Yes.
Do you identify yourself as law enforcement to him?
No, I believe the only thing I said was, "Do you have your license on you?" And that was the entire conversation between the two of us.
Did you observe his demeanor at roadside?
Yes, it was more or emotionless, I would say, compared to the other people that were in the area. Between that female witness that I mentioned, who was really emotional, then the EMS workers and other people were frantically working. And then when I walked up to him, he kind of stayed in the same location. I was more expecting when I asked if he had his license on him that he already gave it to somebody else, but obviously he did not, so he just said, yeah, opened the driver door, pulled it out, gave it to me, and then went right back to where he was standing.
Did he show any visible signs of distress or concern?
I would say no. There was no, like I said, it was more, he was just there observing, and there was no really emotion to him that I detected from him.
After you obtained his ID, did you give him any directives?
No.
What did you do with the ID you had obtained from him?
I believe I waited till another, I think it was my sergeant at the time, showed up on scene, and I handed him his driver's license.
What would the name of your sergeant be?
I believe it was Sergeant Gable, who's a lieutenant now, but it was either him or another trooper. I'm not exactly sure who I gave it to.
Did you convey any other information to then Sergeant Gable about what you had just done or seen?
I do not believe I gave not too much information to him at the time.
What do you do from that point forward?
By the time, I'm still waiting for one of our guys to show up. While I was waiting, the EMS takes Kenny's body to Metro Hospital. So he leaves, then there's, I believe, 3 or 4 Highway Patrol cars showed up on scene at that time.
I'm going to ask you to watch State's Exhibit 1500, which I'll represent to you as being the dash cam from Kenny Velez's patrol car. Prior to taking the stand here today, have you seen it?
No, I've not seen it.
And you were wearing what again?
A blue button-down dress shirt, tie, dark-colored pants, dress pants.
And Your Honor, the record should reflect I've spoken to Mr. Sin. He's aware, and we're in agreement that we're going to play the relevant portion of the dash cam, which begins prior to this witness's arrival. It shows the effects of the impact.
Is that correct?
I have no objection to the state showing anything they need to show.
And then I would ask permission to pull the mono cab a little bit towards the jury box, and if we could also drop the front set of lights.
Folks, why don't you come over here and watch it come over this chair?
And Judge, by agreement, I've asked for the cooperation of the media as to this exhibit. Make sure it goes to full screen.
Yes. Yeah, I just walked up to him, asked him if he had his license on him.
What was your purpose?
said, the interaction was very brief, but no, I did not notice anything.
Do you notice any slurred speech or bloodshot eyes or any odor? Maybe a chemical or alcohol nature about this person?
No, at that time, I'm an off-duty. I was in looking to investigate further any of those issues.
But had you noticed any visible signs of impairment, you certainly would have let somebody know, correct?
Most likely, yes.
And you didn't do that in this case, did you?
I did not.
You found it maybe a little
Contact at that moment was identity.
Correct, yes.
Were you conducting a roadside sobriety at that moment?
No, I wasn't.
Was that the focus of your attention?
No.
Thank you.
No, Your Honor. Thank you, Trooper.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, the State of Ohio is going to call in Conrad. Yes, sir.
Yes.
And what were you doing on the 15th of September?
During the accident, I was actually on my way to work.
And which direction do you typically, or which highway do you typically take to get to work?
90 West?
And as you were traveling to work on September 15th of 2016, did you observe anything unusual?
Yes, a very bad accident.
Can you explain to me what it was you observed right before the crash?
Well, right before the crash, I was on 90, and I was 2 lanes from the left, so right next to the fast lane. And it was pretty busy that morning, or that afternoon. I had a car in front of me, a car on the right. It was pretty busy on the right side of me. The left lane was completely empty. Once going over the little hill, I saw the police officer on the left-hand side, his vehicle, and he was standing at the edge of the line. As we were driving down by him, he was flagging someone down that he was going to pull him over, which is what the Westlake police normally do around that area. I've been pulled over there before, and pretty much the same procedure. The gentleman in front of me slowed down, started slowing down because I was literally like in a little box. When I went over the hill, there was no one behind me because I typically look at my mirrors when I'm driving. And once I slowed down, I looked in my rearview mirror just to make sure nobody was getting too close to me because I was already getting close to the person in front of me. And yes, sir.
You speak very quickly. If you just slow down for so I can hear it.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
That's okay.
So yeah, I slowed down, looked in my rearview mirror, seen a vehicle behind me, switching lanes. At that point, I looked over at my mirror on my left-hand side, and that's when I seen the point of impact, and the officer was struck by the vehicle. I was pretty much in shock at that point. I'm surprised.
Car is the car in front of you when you first see the officer?
We were like right next to each other the whole time, so within a few feet, maybe like 10, 15 feet.
And you described that as you were testifying as kind of coming up the hill. Can you describe that area where you first see the officer completing the flag?
Well, when I was coming across, like I said, the lane next to the officer was completely empty. The lane was completely empty. No cars were there. Maybe a car about 30 feet after the officer. I'm very observant when I drive, especially when I drive where I normally drive. So
What was he doing when you first noticed him, sir?
I don't remember if he was like going to go back into his car and then decided to possibly pull someone over. But he was doing something. He wasn't just standing there.
Okay. Tell me, to the best of your memory, what you observed. Where was he physically positioned? Was he behind the trunk of the car? Was he over at the driver's door? Was he maybe in front of the car? If you can recall where he was physically positioned.
I believe the time when I actually got a good look at him was when he was next to the vehicle, like I said, flagging someone down and pull him over.
So he's next to his vehicle, between the vehicle and I guess probably the rumble strip and then the lanes of traffic. Is that safe to say? And if you don't know where the rumble strip is, I don't
No,
blame
I
you.
believe his vehicle was here and he was standing behind the vehicle.
Okay.
He wasn't in between the vehicle and the lane. I believe he was behind the vehicle.
When we say behind, are we, in this context, would behind be that he's in front of his vehicle, shooting a laser? If this is the vehicle, he's in front, shooting a laser through his vehicle. I guess we're saying he's off to the side, and I apologize, I'm going fast here. But let's assume this table's the vehicle, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's better to use this table because it's more realistic. So as far as where the spacing would be. This table's the vehicle. This is the front headlights. Back here is the trunk. And over here is the passenger and over here's a bunch of other, the lane of traffic. Where is he? Is he in front of his headlights? Is he off to the side? Or is he all the way behind his vehicle?
No, I believe at this point he probably had already tagged the person with the gun because he wasn't really aiming at the person. He was literally near the yellow line, flagging someone down. So I believe he was by his taillights.
Okay.
Flagging someone down.
So you think he's more by his taillights and he's aiming at traffic here?
Yeah, you're confusing me because it's going this way.
Okay.
So his taillights are over here, and his vehicle's facing that way. So he was over here, and he was flagging someone down that he was going to pull him over this way. He wasn't over the yellow line. He was positioned fine. He was like right at the edge of the line.
So he's not actually in the roadway according to
No,
you
he's not in the roadway.
when you saw him, but you went past him though, correct? You don't really know what happened?
No, I didn't go past him. When I got near him is when I seen him get struck by the car. Literally when he got struck, I was staring at it right there.
Okay, I thought you were looking through your side mirror and saw
No,
this.
so when I go look at my side mirror, at that time, this distracted me because somebody just got hit.
Okay.
So I went to go look here, but my attention automatically went here, which is near my mirror, and that's when I saw the point of impact.
Okay. Now, you say that your attention was drawn by somebody getting hit, right?
Right, just by all the activity that happened as I was looking at my mirror.
Okay. So did you actually see the car hit the trooper, or did you see the trooper come down?
No, I saw the vehicle strike him, and then as I drove past, I looked in my rearview mirror, and that's when I saw his body in my mirror come down from the sky.
Okay. Now, why are you slowing down?
Because the gentleman in front of me slowed down.
Okay. Is it your belief that the gentleman in front of you is getting pulled over, or are you getting pulled over?
Oh, if anything, it would have been him because I'm following his speed.
Okay. So you're set at the same speed he's set at,
Pretty much.
and the trooper appears to be pulling him over for his speed, as far as you can tell.
Right.
Okay. What physical things is the trooper doing that are indicative of pulling somebody over? I mean, is he doing this? Is he doing this?
No. When I've been pulled over before, what they do is they take both their hands and they flag you and they tell you they make you pull over so that they don't have to chase you down. So he had both hands out.
Well, let's stop here, okay? Because I understand how it is in the past when you had this happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm asking you specifically what you saw then, if anything.
Yeah, the same thing.
He was doing what?
He was doing this. Yeah,
Okay.
he's gonna pull you over.
And you indicate that the car in front of you came to a stop.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
All I remember is after that happened, for all I know, he could have pulled over. I don't know. I just know that at that point in time, I looked in my rearview mirror, and when I looked forward, no one was in front of me, and that's when I pulled over.
Okay. So let's go over that. Guy in front of you, you indicate in the second lane, is in a blue or purple car, and he's getting pulled over, you believe, and he hits his brake lights.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you hit your brakes.
Right.
And then your attention's drawn to the left of you to an impact,
Mm-hmm.
which you see that the black car that's traveling directly behind you is now, is that black car directly behind you? Can I say that?
No, you can't say that because I don't remember him being behind me. I just remember looking at the rearview mirror and switching lanes. The car behind me was switching lanes at that point.
Okay. So you look back and he's switching lanes, and then you see the impact.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like we made an abrupt stop. The gentleman in front of me was slowing down at a good pace, and I was slowing down at a good pace.
So when we watch this video, and you're about to watch a video of exactly what the scene is, and I'm going to warn you, it's what you saw already once in real life, but it's not pleasant. We should be able to see your white Impala behind the blue car, and then we should see the car that made impact with the officer swerve and hit the officer and go right to the side of both of you.
Right.
Okay. Could we take a look at that, please? Thank you so much. Yeah, anything you want to do to help? Okay. You know, can we turn this a little bit towards? Let's turn this towards you if we could, okay? And maybe the jury. Yeah,
sound or just
Just the video is fine. Sir, just for your knowledge, we're looking through the dash cam of the police car. Okay, that's 90 West, and those are the cars going by the police car. And at some point, when you really want to start paying attention, is when the police officer walks across the camera there, because that's going to be the time of impact. Okay. Now, what I just saw, sir, was a blue car in the first lane, closest to berm, your car a little bit behind that blue car, and then pass it as you go by the officer, and then the black car off the road. Let's look at that one more time. Is that okay?
Yes.
Does it work with like a computer there?
No.
I'm sorry.
You remember this is the redo.
Yeah,
So
let's-
you gotta go.
I break it, I bought it. You're the white car, though, huh?
Yes.
Okay. This was a long time ago. Not a long time ago, but lots going on in your life and everybody's life in the last several months, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just making small talk. This is the first time you've seen this video, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry. We can leave that right. We're done. Thank you. We can turn the light on if you'd like. Did you get a chance to observe that?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that refresh your memory a little bit about what happened?
I mean, yeah, I did, but it was
What's
needed to see.
different than what you thought?
The gentleman in front of me wasn't in front of me during the point of impact. That, like I said, I don't remember him switching lanes in the
One
first
second,
place.
please.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I might have caught that maybe the jury can't see everything well. Is everybody able to see up there? Everybody got? Okay, thank you. Sorry, sir. What was it as you thought it was?
That the vehicle that was in front of me was not in front of me the whole entire time. He switched lanes before, or during the impact.
Okay, so it looks to me like he's the blue car, the purple car, whichever you want to call it. He's in the lane closest to the trooper in front of my client, right?
Right.
Okay. So when you indicate that he was sitting on his brakes, are you telling us that at some point he got on his brakes and moved lanes?
No, could you repeat that again?
Earlier you were pretty clear that he was in front of you and you saw brake lights, right?
Yes, yes.
How did he get from the lane that you were in, the second lane, over to the first lane? When did that happen?
It could have happened right when we got near the police officer.
Okay, so is it possible then that that car front of you with the brake lights, then pulled into the other lane in front of my client. Doesn't appear that way, doesn't it?
It could appear that way.
Thank you, sir. 1 second, please. Sir, did you write a written statement in this case? I'm going to show it to you. It's something the prosecutor provided to me. All right. So I'm going to show you what is going to be marked as State's Exhibit 1457. I'm not the state, but I stole their exhibit, and we're going to keep the numbers straight if we can. Is that okay, Your Honor? Can I show this to the witness?
He recognizes it.
Sir, do you recognize this document?
Yes,
What is that, sir?
I believe this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if anybody wants to stand up, you can sit down while. Feel free to do so.
Sir, you recognize this, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Copy.
Don't move until Mary's ready. Okay, go ahead.
Sir, you testified today that the officer was at all times where you thought he should be.
Right.
Okay. Do you remember in your written statement indicating, and I quote, the officer was too close to the edge?
Yeah, he was like right at the edge.
Okay. That was
Not over the edge. It was at the edge.
What did you mean when you used the word the officer was too close to the edge?
Possibly his hands going over the line to
Okay.
flag someone down.
And you felt that that was too close?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm personally, because when I got pulled over before, the officers were right at the line. They weren't like, I didn't feel like they were over the line at all.
Okay. But specifically, in this particular thing, your exact words are, the officer was too close to the edge.
I could have written that, yes.
Do you stand by that?
Yeah, if I wrote it down, I will stand by that.
Thank you, sir. No further questions. Let's turn this.
Yes.
Mr. Arroyo, I'm going to hand you what's been marked for identification purposes. It's State's Exhibit 1457. Do you recognize that item, sir?
Yes.
And is that a copy of the statement you provided on September 15th of 2016?
Yes.
Is it in the same or substantially similar condition to when you initially provided it?
Yes.
Thank you. Can you please read that for us?
The entire thing?
Yes, out loud, please.
I was driving behind a blue Honda on the second lane, on the second lane from the left. The officer was standing near the yellow line, flagging someone down for speeding.
Oh,
Me-
Mr. Arroyo,
Yes.
the court reporter is taking down everything you say. We tend to read a little bit, talk a little bit faster when we read.
Sure.
Make sure you go a little bit slower so she can accurately capture everything.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
The officer was standing near the yellow line, flagging someone for speeding. Me and the Honda slowed down, and the black Hyundai flew past me from behind and into the last lane and hit the officer. He drove too far into the emergency lane, and the officer was too close to the edge. This all happened at 12:50 p.m. The question was, what did you hear the driver of the black car say? My answer, he said, what did you see? I just looked up and the officer was there. I told him, I saw you hit the officer. I don't know much more. I was focused on the officer. Sorry, give me 1 second. Did you see any car? Did you see any car strike the black car? My answer was no. Did you want me to read the second statement too?
Yes, please, sir.
The question was, what happened? How fast were we going? My answer was 70 before we all slowed down. Next question, what lane were you in prior to the crash? I drew a picture of me in the second lane from the left. I was behind blue. We slowed down. The black car came up on us too fast. There was no way he was behind me going that fast. I think he was switching lanes. I just saw a black streak behind me in the rearview mirror. If he was directly behind us, he would have hit us.
And sir, is that the entirety of the statement that you provided in writing to the officers on the scene on September 15th of 2016?
Yes.
And sir, at that time, when you provided this written statement, was it based on your observations from the fatal crash?
Yes, my observation, and I was angry.
And sir, why is it that you were angry?
I seen a man killed.
So you had some emotions going through you at that point in time, correct?
Yes.
Were you able to observe the defendant's demeanor on the scene? The operator of the black car. Were you able to observe him?
I did.
How did he appear to you?
Just like I spoke with one of the guy that was in the car in front of me, I asked him, I'm like, does he look drunk to you? Because he was acting very strange. And I told the officer that too.
You told the officer what?
That he looked like I thought he was drunk. I mean, that was my personal, I don't have a lot of experience with, drunk people, but he just didn't look normal. But again, he could have been in shock, but I assumed he might have been under the influence of something.
Nothing further at this time, Your Honor. Oh, one moment, Your Honor, I apologize. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Step.
So that's an awfully big assumption. Why would you assume he's under the influence or something?
Like I said, I don't know how he would act under the circumstances, but he just didn't, he wasn't making any sense when he was talking either. Like I said, he was in his own little world. He was just walking around, pacing back and forth. He went in the vehicle to grab something. Just the fact that he said he looked down for 1 second, and then when he looked up, the officer was just there. That kind of just didn't seem right. Didn't sit right with me. I was just angry that I just seen a gentleman get killed.
Who were you angry at?
Just the situation in general.
Okay. Were you angry at my client for hitting that officer?
Not necessarily your client, but just what happened.
Okay. And as far as what you observed that led you to believe that perhaps he was under the influence, I think you used the word you assumed he was under the influence. Was he stumbling?
Not stumbling, but just the way he was speaking, the way he was slurring.
Okay.
When
You
he,
indicate he was slurring his words?
yes,
Okay. And you have some experience with identifying folks who are under the impairment of alcohol and/or drugs?
well, yes, I have drank myself and been around people that have been under the influence.
Would you say that you're more adept at that than, say, highway patrol officers who make arrests every day?
No,
Okay, so if highway patrol officers didn't hear the slurring that you're talking about, would we defer to them or defer to
Objection, Your
you?
Honor.
Would they be in a better position to judge whether or not somebody's slurring as a result of intoxication than you might be?
yes, they would.
Okay. You didn't put anything about... I don't think so.
State calls Keegan Connery.
You raise your right hand. Do solemnly swear or affirm, subject to the penalties of perjury, that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay.
Please be seated. The chair won't move. You'll have to move up to the microphone. Okay. If you're soft spoken.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Would you state and spell your name, please?
Keegan Connery, Keeganconry.
And where are you employed?
Akron General Medical Center.
And do you have a professional license?
I do.
In what?
Medical doctor.
Okay. Taking you back to September of last year, September 2016, where were you in the course of your career advancement? Were you still a student, resident, or had you been licensed?
I was a fourth-year medical student at that time at Case Western Reserve University.
Okay, so you hadn't sat for the boards yet, you were not yet licensed.
Correct.
But fourth-year medical student, were you doing any form of rounds in hospitals and administering care?
Yes.
Okay. Had you done any rotations in an ER at that point?
Yes.
Were you familiar with basic primary emergency aid?
Yes.
And especially in instances of trauma?
Yes.
Prior to that event that brings us here, had you been in an ER setting with motor vehicle trauma patients?
Yes, I had.
So I want to turn your attention to September 15th, 2016. On that day at around 12:45, did you happen to be in a vehicle traveling westbound on I-90 at or near the McKinley exit?
Yes, I was.
Where were you coming from and where were you going to?
I was traveling from University Hospital's main campus to a Westlake branch to go to clinic with one of my attending physicians.
I'm going to ask you to move towards the microphone. The ventilation is sort of impairing your audibility here. So, and raise your voice, please.
Okay.
That's better, thanks. Once again, where were you coming from? Where were you going?
I was traveling from University Hospital's main campus to an outlying clinic in Westlake to attend an attending physician's clinic.
Make, model, and color of the vehicle you were driving.
I was driving a silver Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo.
Any passengers in your vehicle?
No.
So you're the driver, sole occupant.
Yes.
Do you remember what lane of travel you were in prior to the incident that brings us here?
I was in the right lane.
Okay. From your memory, describe the traffic conditions as you found them to be that day, just prior to this incident.
Prior to the incident, traffic in the middle lane was moving relatively slowly. The left lane was relatively clear of any traffic as Officer Velez's vehicle was parked off into the median on the left. And the right lane was moving relatively normally, I would say.
Were you a frequent traveler of that piece of highway?
No.
So take us through a narrative based on your memory of events of what you see prior to the event that brings us here, and describe to the best of your ability the behavior of any vehicles that you found unusual.
So again, I was traveling the rightmost lane as traffic was moving very slowly in the middle lane. I had noticed Officer Velez's car off into the median on the left. I saw a few car lengths in front of me and to my left in that middle lane, the black Hyundai Veloster approaching that slow traffic relatively quickly. I saw the car swerve into the left lane, I assumed attempting to pass that slower moving traffic. At that point, he was kind of pinned between the slower traffic in the middle lane and then Officer Velez's car and Officer Velez himself off to the left. He attempted to swerve to avoid striking Officer Velez, but obviously was unable to and struck him and then pulled off into the left median himself.
Did you see, with your own eyes, the actual impact?
Yes, I did.
What was your reaction?
As quickly as I could, I got off and into the right shoulder just past the on-ramp, and then was able to slow down traffic enough to cross in left median to attempt to offer some care.
Were you able to get to Officer Velez?
Yes, I was. By the time I got there, there was one off-duty paramedic on scene already. He had been able to contact 911, so I actually took his phone and talked with the dispatcher as he was attempting CPR.
Okay. Do you remember what you may have said to the dispatcher?
Not specifically, just that he witnessed a crash or an accident, that he was in very poor condition. I believe I mentioned that he had multiple open fractures and was breathing agonally, but beyond that, I'm not sure specifics.
Describe for us visually Officer Velez's condition when you reached him.
When I reached him, he was lying on his back with his head turned to the right. Again, he was kind of gasping, labored breaths. There was a fair amount of blood beneath his body. He had multiple open fractures or sites where there were wounds in the skin and visible bone beneath them. His hat was further up the road out into the lane, I believe.
Did you ever actually administer first aid yourself personally?
I did not, no.
Were you asked to do anything by the dispatcher via the open phone call, anything in that regard?
No. Nothing beyond giving additional information. I answered a few questions.
You stayed on scene, police arrived. Did you speak to Lakewood Police?
Yes, I did. I offered a statement at the scene.
Okay. Ultimately, did you write a statement for Lakewood Police?
Yes, I did.
And ultimately, did you write a statement for the Ohio State Highway Patrol?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And prior to taking the stand here today, did you get the opportunity to read those out in the hallway?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You used the word swerve.
Yes.
Why did you choose that word?
I chose that word because the motion was a bit uncontrolled. Moved rather quickly, went off a bit into the left median, and then made a couple additional motions to the right and left. So it just seemed somewhat uncontrolled, as I said. That's why I chose that word.
So based on what I just heard you say, sharp move to the left, and then a series of S's back and forth?
A couple, yes.
Okay. And is that all prior to impact?
Yes.
Were you in a position to see the taillights of the black car?
Yes, I was behind the car.
what can you describe about any activation or non-activation of the taillights?
I don't recall.
Okay. During the time you were there, did you ever approach the operator of the black vehicle that you saw strike Officer Velez?
No, I did not.
Did you have any conversation or interaction with him at all that day?
No, I did not.
Did you say that you saw Officer Velez flagging traffic?
It looked like he was approaching the left lane and attempting to flag someone down.
When you say attempting to flag, did you see any body motions from Officer Velez?
I believe he was waving his right arm in the air.
From your memory, where is he standing when he's making that waving motion?
Just the passenger side of his cruiser, very close to the line denoting the edge of the left lane on the side of the median. I'm not sure if he actually entered the left lane at all, but very close to it.
So up to the white line, but not in the lane of traffic? Is that what you're describing?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall how fast you were traveling prior to you seeing the situation and beginning your braking?
Probably 60, 65 miles an hour.
Did you have time to see Officer Velez?
Yes.
How would you describe the braking that you applied based upon seeing Officer Velez?
Again, traffic was moving a bit slowly, so I just braked enough to, fall into that traffic pattern that was occurring there. And I may have slowed down 10 miles an hour.
So, was this, I don't know what adjective you might want to choose to apply, but what I want to know is whether or not this was a panic stop, a full, sudden application of the brakes where your tires screech or something like that. Is that what you're describing?
No.
What are you describing?
Just light braking to slow down, to kind of meet with the pace of traffic in the lane.
Okay. And did you have any trouble avoiding the car in front of you?
No, I did not.
Did you have sufficient time and distance to safely slow your vehicle?
Yes, I did.
The black car that I'm referring to is a Hyundai Velociter, which may have been used that day as a name. Do you recall whether any vehicle stopped short in front of the black car or cut it off without sufficient warning to the operator of the black vehicle?
I do not recall that happening, no.
So, are you saying it's possible that did happen, or that's not what you saw because that's not what happened?
That is not what I saw happen.
And what did you see happen in terms of the vehicles in front of the black car, the Hyundai Velociter?
Again, I just saw a much slower traffic pattern in that lane due to other drivers, getting into that lane from the leftmost lane to avoid Officer Velez.
Thank you, Doctor.
Hello, sir. My name is John Sin. I'm going to ask you some questions, okay?
Sure.
If I ask you anything you don't understand, you can just ask me to repeat it.
All right.
The prosecutor ask you a question. The question was, I think he made more of a statement. That was, the trooper was standing close to the lane of traffic, but not in the lane of traffic. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. That's not what you said in your initial report, though, is it? Is that what you recall, that he didn't get in the lane of traffic?
I recall that he was close to. I believe in my original statement I may have said that I was uncertain if he actually stepped in.
Right, and that is what you said. You said you were uncertain whether the trooper actually got into the lane of traffic or whether he just stayed very close. Are you still uncertain?
Yes.
Just the fact the prosecutor said something different didn't make you change your mind, did it?
No.
You don't know whether the trooper actually walked into that lane or was just really close, but we can all agree it was really, really close.
Sure, yeah, my recollection from that day immediately afterward would be most accurate. So,
You were in the far right lane?
yes.
Okay, so there's 4 lanes of traffic on 90 West, and you're in the far right one. How far back are you from the black car?
4 or 5 car lengths, maybe.
Okay. Are there cars between you and the black car?
There were not. There may have been a car that passed through at some point during the event, but it was relatively clear.
What lane do you recall the black car being in?
Second from the left.
Okay.
On this line.
And did you observe it move from the second to the left into another lane?
Yes.
Do you know why it moved?
Because traffic was moving slowly in front of it.
Okay.
That's the only-
Do you know if a car in front of it put on its brakes?
I did not see that happen.
Do you recall a blue car?
I do
Blue
not.
Honda?
I do not.
Do you recall a white Malibu?
I do not.
If we saw a video, and on the video what we saw was a blue car and a white car coming to a stop, almost parallel to the trooper's car and a little bit past, and then the black car swerved into the trooper, would that be consistent with what you remember or inconsistent?
Sorry, could you restate that?
Okay. You know what, how about I just show you?
Sure.
Could we try that again? So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at a camera angle that's being shot from inside the highway patrolman's car. And if it goes as expected, you'll be able to see the impact. And being in medicine, I'm sure you've seen a lot of things, or you're certainly going to in your career. But what we're focused on is when the trooper is going to walk across that camera. When he walks across that camera very quickly, there's going to be something worth that you and I are going to talk about. Is that okay?
Yeah.
It's not for 60 seconds. So.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. That appears to be 90 West,
Yes.
and you're in the lane farthest,
Yes.
but you're probably way back somewhere at this point in time. You indicate you were going about 60 or 65 out there?
Yeah, I would estimate that.
Do we see you anywhere on there? At this point in time, is that
Yes, you can.
pause that. Is that you in this little car over here?
Yes.
Okay. So you don't recall seeing the blue car or the white car that were... I'd have to go back. Do you see the blue car and the white car?
That are pulled off in front of him now?
Yeah.
Yes, I recall seeing them now that I've seen this video.
Okay. But you didn't recall it earlier.
No, I did not pay much attention to them at the time, at the scene.
And safe to say, the way the human body and the human mind records information may not always be just like a tape recorder, is it?
Sure.
So sometimes we can remember things a certain way that don't necessarily coincide with how things actually happened. Right? I guess my point is, did you not see those cars earlier? Or you don't remember them? Or there's an explanation for why you didn't see them? And I think the explanation is probably like it's a crazy scene.
Sure. Yeah, I think that I did not mark their actions because their actions were consistent with everyone else, whereas the Velociter's actions were considerably different.
Okay. So you thought it was consistent that this blue car and this white car seemed to come to they seem to slow down pretty quickly to the point where the black car is forced into the other lane. Is that what you saw?
Again, I did not note them slow down
Okay.
considerably more than other vehicles.
Okay. If we all saw them kind of come to a stop right there and the black car goes shooting past them, would that be accurate with what you saw that day, or we should go with our eyes?
Again, I did not note them slow down considerably.
Okay. 1 second, sir. No further questions. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Khan, when you say the majority of traffic was responding in a typical traffic slowing pattern, is that what you're describing?
Yes.
But then you said the black Veloster acted, in your words, considerably different. Is that what you said?
Yes.
What do you mean by that? What, in your mind, did you see that was considerably different?
He didn't slow to meet the pace of traffic, rather kind of came up on the cars in front of him quickly and then swerved into that left lane rather than just slowing and staying. Could have seen the officer's vehicle there.
Like someone whose attention was not in front of them?
Possibly.
Okay, granted, you don't know where his eyes were.
No.
But the lack of slowing for what was in front of you was, in your mind, what term would you put on it? Was it appropriate, inappropriate, reasonable, unreasonable? What adjective would you use to describe the Velociter's reaction to the slowing traffic in front?
I thought it was inappropriate.
Thank you.
Would the Velociter's action still have been inappropriate had the trooper entered into the lane of traffic?
Object.
Yes, they still would have been inappropriate.
Okay. You gave two statements in this case, did you not?
That's correct.
You gave one to Lakewood right at that time, and then later on you gave another one to the High Patrol.
Yes, that's correct.
Do you recall your first statement indicating very clearly that the officer was flagging down?
Objection.
Please approach.
Sir, you indicated earlier that the trooper, you were unaware whether the trooper was in the lane of traffic or not lane of traffic, right?
Yes.
And you told that to the highway patrol officers days later when you gave a written statement. Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I imagine you had a lot of folks talking to you about this situation, maybe family and friends, over the course of the couple days that went by between the time of the accident and the time you talked to the highway patrolman.
Yes, I did.
Did you give a statement to the Lakewood police on the date and time of the crash?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you recall what you told the Lakewood police about where the officer was standing at the time of the crash?
I do not.
Okay. I want to show you State's Exhibit 1456. It consists of several documents. Do you recognize the handwriting on the top document?
Yes, I do.
Whose handwriting was that?
It's mine.
Is that a statement that you gave to the Lakewood police at the time of the crash?
Yes, it is.
Can you read the first paragraph?
I was in the right-hand lane, saw officer enter left lane, and appeared to be flagging down vehicle.
Okay. So, at the time this happened, and it's fresh in your mind, you told Lakewood that the officer actually entered the lane of traffic?
Yes, I did. Based on
But
the
several
statement.
days later, you told the troopers you weren't sure.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Doctor, page 1 of 1456 is your Lakewood statement.
Yes.
Mr. Slynn just said he was going to have you read the whole paragraph, and stopped after the first sentence. I want you to read the whole thing, okay?
Okay.
Please read it.
Doctor? Slowly.
My apologies. I was in the right-hand lane, saw officer enter left lane, and appeared to be flagging down vehicle. Middle lane was slowly proceeding, and driver of black Veloster entered left lane to pass. Driver attempted to swerve into middle lane, but was unable due to traffic. He swerved again and contacted the officer. The officer was hit and flipped one time in the air over the vehicle before landing behind it. I pulled over in the right curb and called 911, did not reach. I then crossed highway to attempt to aid in care, spoke with 911 on another gentleman's phone.
In the course of your medical training, you make written descriptions of things that happen before your eyes all the time, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so you're somewhat trained in this process of eyes, memory, writing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So what you're describing there, does he swerve right, then left? You said middle lane?
He swerved into the left lane and then attempted to move back into the right lane, it looked like.
Okay.
So it was left, right, and then kind of back left.
Was there a vehicle preventing him from entering the middle lane?
I believe there were, but
Okay. Now we're going to turn to the next series of pages, which are your statement to Ohio Department of Public Safety, Highway Patrol, labeled as being 5 pages. Same process, take it slow, and this is on the 21st at 13:18 hours, okay? But read the entire statement in full, please.
questions and answers, or just the answer to the first?
Yes, include the question.
Okay.
So we understand that you're not the speaker of the question, but it's a Q&A format, so that's what we'll do.
Can I ask what date this document was written, Your Honor?
21st.
This is the 21st?
Question. Related to the crash that occurred on 9/15/16 involving Trooper Kenneth Velez, what did you witness? Answer. I was driving west on I-90 in the right lane. I saw that traffic was moving slowly in the middle lane. Then noticed the officer's car moved off to the left in the median. I saw Officer Velez approaching the left lane, waving, flagging someone down. I was not sure if he took a step into the left lane or if he stayed on the berm. I couldn't tell from where I was. I then saw the black Veloster move from the middle lane into the left lane. At that point, the Veloster was caught between moving cars to the right of him and the cruiser to the left. The vehicle attempted to swerve a few times and was unable to avoid Officer Velez and made contact with him. Officer Velez flipped over the vehicle once into the air. At that point, I can't read what this says. I something my vehicle off into the right shoulder and crossed traffic to try to assist him. There was already one man with Officer Velez taking his pulse, speaking to 911. As I stopped, I tried to call 911 but couldn't get through. Others came to assist. I gave a statement to Lakewood PD.
And while you're doing this, is this your handwriting or somebody else's?
This is someone else's handwriting.
Okay. But do you recognize this as being your words?
Yes, I recognize the conversation.
All right, please continue page 3.
Question, did you see the driver of the Veloster? Answer, yes. He was a short white male, about 5'5", short hair, buzz cut. I don't believe he had facial hair, no glasses, a bit overweight. I don't recall what he was wearing. Question, did the driver of the Veloster say anything to you or anyone else? Answer, he did not say anything to me, but I heard him say to another driver who stopped. He said something to the effect of, "Tell me what happened, it happened so fast." He immediately made a phone call when he got out of the car.
Page 4.
I don't know who he was speaking with, but I think he said something like, "I've just been in an accident, it was bad." Nothing else that I recall him saying. Question, where exactly were you in relation to the Veloster when you first saw it? Answer, I was to the right, behind it, about 4 to 5 car lengths behind. Had a direct line of sight to Trooper Velez diagonally. Question, in relationship from where the patrol car was, how far back was the Veloster before he changed lane? Answer, relatively close. I can't give a good estimate of that.
Page 5.
Question, did you see the Veloster make contact with any other vehicle? Answer, I did not see him make contact with any other vehicle. I only saw him hit Officer Velez. Question, did you see any other vehicle cut off the Veloster or change its course of action? Answer, none that I saw. Question, did the Veloster appear to be speeding? Answer, yes, he was driving inappropriately fast relative to other traffic.
Is that your signature at the bottom of both statements?
Yes, that is.
Thank you.
Doctor, the second statement you made, how is it that you came to make a second statement, sir?
I was contacted by State Highway Patrol and asked to meet me to make a statement.
How were you contacted? By phone or the hospital? Or?
Yes, I was contacted by phone.
And did you arrange a time to meet?
Yes.
Where did you meet with this person?
I met in the lobby of the Seidman Cancer Center at University Hospitals.
That's a place that you frequent pursuant to your work?
It was an easy place to get to between cases in the operating room.
Who'd you meet with?
I do not recall the names of the officers. I know
How many officers were there?
there were 2.
Were they dressed in their whole Highway Patrol uniforms?
No, they were not.
Okay. Did they have any outward manifestation they were patrol officers? They show you badges or anything?
Yes, they showed me badges.
And when you talked to them on the phone, they identified themselves as Ohio Highway Patrolmen?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Now, the first statement with Lakewood, that was done right after the accident?
Yes, that was done directly after.
You hadn't had any time to watch any media reports or know anything about the case at that point, right?
No, I mean, nothing other than what I'd seen at that point.
Even though you have a career in medicine, I would assume this is still a big life event for you, seeing something of this nature, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's different to be on scene and witness than to see in the hospital.
So I can assume that in the days following this incident, you heard about it in the news and you saw it all over the papers and everything?
Yes, I did.
So it was then that you learned that State Highway Patrol says that Josh was impaired. Did you learn that?
Yes, I learned that after the fact.
Okay. But prior to writing this statement for the Highway Patrol?
I'm not actually sure when I first heard that story, so I can't comment on that.
Did you know whether there was claiming alcohol impairment or drug impairment?
I didn't hear specific claims of what he was impaired by.
Okay. Was it at all awkward for you meeting with highway patrolmen when the person that they were investigating the death of was a highway patrolman?
No, it wasn't.
Did you express any sense of remorse to them? Did you say, hey, I'm really sorry about what happened or anything?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And why did you feel that was necessary to the people that were investigating this crime?
Just they had lost a colleague, potentially may have had some relationship with him at some point. I wasn't sure, so I felt appropriate to offer some condolences.
Now, you're a full-fledged doctor right now, right?
Yes.
I can assume that. Well, what kind of work do you do, sir, in the doctor arena?
I'm an orthopedic surgery resident.
Okay. I can assume that you probably don't do surgery on your family and friends.
No, I don't.
Would you do surgery on your family and friends?
I personally wouldn't, but there are no specific rules against doing so.
Okay. Why wouldn't you do it?
I would be uncomfortable doing it.
A little too close?
Sure, for me, personally.
Okay. And these state troopers, when you expressed your remorse, they said, they tell you anything about the case?
No, they did not. They said thank you and moved on to our discussion.
They didn't tell you that they'd arrested my client and charged him with all these charges?
No, they did not tell me anything else about the case.
But you don't know whether you saw the news reports prior to meeting with the troop several days later that were all over the news that day and the next couple of days?
I do not know, to be honest. I was not actively looking for it.
Do you routinely watch the news?
I routinely read the news, but do not watch.
Okay. What do you read?
Varying things that come through Google News, honestly.
Okay. And you stay up with news on the internet and whatnot?
Yes,
And this was a major life event for you?
it was.
Okay. So we can assume that if you had access to Google, you would have at least tried to look it up and see what was going on with the case?
No, I was, as I just said, I was actually intentionally not looking it up for a few days.
Okay. Why is that?
As you just said, it was a pretty major life event. I didn't necessarily want to delve into the case immediately afterward. So it was by choice.
But you say you didn't feel at all pressured in any way by the fact that there were highway patrolmen grieving, also investigating.
Objection, he's not testifying.
I'll withdraw that.
Yeah, no one said that word.
That's true. Would you agree with me that you changed your statement as to the trooper's position as far as being in the lane as opposed to being close to the lane when you talked to those two troopers compared to what you told the Lakewood police?
It did change slightly, not because of any pressure. I think because there was a week between where I had a lot of time to reflect on it. It was certainly on my mind, so.
Okay. Are you telling us that your memory got better as time went on?
No, I'm not saying that.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks. Good luck in your career.
Thank
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to stop here for today. I want to thank you for your patience. I have matters tomorrow morning, so we're starting later, and I know we'll go to 4:30, maybe till 5 o'clock. We have your indulgence. So if you are here tomorrow at 11 o'clock, Mrs. Smith will get you, and I want to use your time wisely, so we're mindful of that, all right? We have other things that are scheduled, and we're trying to fit everything in so everyone's happy and attended to. Keep in mind, over the evening, don't discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else. Don't let anyone discuss the case with you or in your presence. Don't form or express any opinion. We are a long way from that point of deliberation. No independent investigation and no media accounts under any circumstance. All right? I hope you do have a nice evening. It's wonderful weather. And we'll see you back tomorrow morning downstairs at 11. Thank you.
All rise. I'll collect the notebooks. No, I'll take them. If you just bring them here. Oh, good evening, ma'am. No. You'll want that. Thank you. No. Thank you. Oh, good evening. Night. No. Night. Thank you. Night. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Mary, can I call you when I need you?
When you're
Okay.
leaving
How's that?
the dining
Okay.
room, all right,
I will.
so then we'll have everybody up and running.
I will.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate the phone call.
Some reports are helpful, other reports can be sort of. But I also teach at the executive school, which is one of the people I had.
Ah, okay. Well, I knew her husband much better than her.
He was very nice to me. He appeared on a panel with me for the judicial conference one year, so he was very nice as well.
He asked me better now that I bought his book.